Hey, it's so good to have you here. And I want to start by saying this. When it comes to the topic of sexual attraction, there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of conflicting advice. Some of it tells you to play hard to get, while other advice says be bold, take control. Some say let him chase, while others say don't wait around. But here's the truth most people won't say out loud. Sexual attraction isn't about wearing less. It's not about playing games. It's not about being someone you're not. It's about energy. It's about the vibe you give off long before anything physical ever happens. When a man feels that sexual pull toward you, it's rarely just because of how you look. It's about how he feels in your presence. It's the tension, the intrigue, the feeling that you're in your body, in your power, and that you're completely comfortable being desired without being desperate for it. So today, I'm going to give you 5 powerful keys to unlocking that secret, to making a man want you in a way that is raw, real, and deeply respectful. Let's dive in. Let's begin with the most foundational and, for many, the most challenging truth. If you want to be desired, you have to own your own desire first. Now that might sound simple, but for a lot of women, this is the very place where the disconnect begins. Because we live in a world that's spent decades teaching women to be the object of desire, but not the source of it. You've been taught how to be looked at, how to be chosen, how to appeal to what he wants, but no one ever really taught you how to feel at home in your own body, how to explore your own sensuality, how to want without guilt, without shame, without the constant voice in your head asking, am I being too much? Or will he still respect me if I express this? But here's the truth. The most sexually magnetic energy you will ever possess comes not from being desired by a man. It comes from being in touch with your own desire. From letting go of the idea that sexuality is something you offer for someone else's enjoyment, and instead realizing that it's something you experience for yourself first. And that shift, it changes everything, because when a man meets a woman who is comfortable in her body, who's connected to her pleasure, who is unashamed of being a sensual, sexual, multi-layered human being, he feels it. Not in an obvious or performative way, but in a quiet confidence, in the way she moves, in the way she takes up space without apology, in the way she looks at him, not as a girl trying to impress, but as a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to feel it. That kind of woman, she doesn't wait to be chosen. She's already chosen herself. And that is electric. Now, this doesn't mean being overtly sexual to get attention. It's not about using sex as a strategy. It's about alignment. It's about connecting your mind, your body, and your heart so that your energy is honest, so that when you are turned on, it's real, so that when you express affection, it's felt, so that your sensuality isn't forced, it's free. Because here's what men don't tell you, but feel on a gut level. Real desire is contagious. If you're disconnected from yours, they'll feel it. If you're alive in it, they'll feel that too. So ask yourself, what brings you pleasure? What makes you feel alive? What parts of your sensual self have you silenced because someone told you they were too much? That's where it starts. You can't fake this. You can't download it from a podcast or read it in a book and instantly become it. But you can start coming home to it by getting curious, by letting go of guilt, and by realizing that your desire is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be honored. Because when you own your desire without shame, you give a man permission to feel safe expressing his own. And from that place, the chemistry becomes undeniable. One of the biggest myths around attraction, and especially sexual attraction, is this idea that you have to act sexy to be sexy, that you have to put on a performance, become some fantasy version of yourself and play a role that checks all the boxes of what you think a man wants. But here's the reality. Real sexual chemistry doesn't come from performance. It comes from connection. Think about the people you've felt the most undeniable sexual tension with in your life. Was it because they followed some perfect script? Was it because they posed the right way or said all the right things? Or was it because of the energy between you? Something spontaneous, alive, and totally unforced. True attraction isn't about doing sexy. It's about being present, being in your body, being in the moment with another person, and letting the interaction unfold in an organic way. When you stop focusing on how you look or whether you're coming across as desirable, and you start focusing on simply being with someone, looking into their eyes, listening deeply, playing with the moment, that's when everything changes. Men can feel the difference. A woman who's performing is trying to control the interaction. She's up in her head thinking about what he's thinking. She's trying to say what sounds good instead of what's true. But a woman who's connected, she's in the experience. She's not trying to impress. She's just being herself fully and unapologetically. And that kind of presence is magnetic. What most people don't understand is that connection itself is sexy. Vulnerability is sexy. Honesty is sexy. That moment when you share something real, when you laugh from your gut, when you reach out and touch his arm, not because it's a move, but because you want to, that's sexy because it's you, not some filtered, polished version, but the real you, alive in the moment. And when a man feels that, he relaxes, he lets his guard down, he becomes more present too, because connection is contagious. When you drop your mask, it invites him to do the same. This is the moment when real intimacy begins. Not necessarily the physical kind, but the emotional kind that makes the physical more meaningful, more intense, more unforgettable. When two people drop the roles and actually see each other, the sexual tension becomes more than just chemistry. It becomes desire mixed with respect. And that's the most powerful combination there is. So here's the shift. Instead of asking yourself, how do I act sexy? Ask yourself, how do I stay present? Instead of what does he want to hear, ask what do I want to share? Instead of am I doing this right, ask am I being real right now? Because the secret is never in the script, it's in the connection. And when you bring that kind of presence into a moment, sexiness isn't something you have to try to be. It's something you naturally are. Now this is where the magic really starts to build. If owning your desire lights the spark and connection creates the fire, then playful tension is what fans the flame. Here's something to remember. Sexual desire thrives in space, in contrast, in anticipation. We often think that closeness is what builds sexual attraction, and yes, it matters, but just as powerful is the moment before closeness. That pause, that delay, that sweet, almost unbearable wait before the kiss, the touch, the next move. And who controls that moment? The woman who understands tension. Now, tension isn't about being distant. It's not about playing cold or hard to get. And that's not real tension. That's emotional unavailability. And it leads nowhere good. True tension is playful. It's warm. It's magnetic. It's the kind of energy that makes you lean in a little closer without even realizing it. It's in the way you look at him, holding eye contact just a beat longer than expected. It's in the way you touch him lightly on the shoulder, then pull away as if it meant nothing, leaving him wondering if it meant everything. It's in your voice when you tease him just a little with a smile that says, I like you, but I'm not handing you everything just yet. This energy invites play, and that's where sexual tension lives, not in forced seduction, but in the game of curiosity. What makes him tick? What does he want to say but hasn't yet? What happens when you hold your ground with confidence and let the moment stretch for a second longer than feels safe? The mistake many people make is thinking attraction is about constantly moving forward. But sometimes the most exciting part of desire is the moment right before the kiss happens, Right before someone reaches out, that pause where anything could happen and both people are just feeling the electricity built. The woman who can create that space, who can flirt with the moment and not rush it, that's the woman who becomes unforgettable because she's not desperate for the payoff. She's enjoying the journey. And that's sexy beyond belief. You see, when you become playful with tension, you're saying, I enjoy this. I enjoy you, but I also enjoy the dance, the energy, the fun of it all. And that shows confidence. It shows power. It shows that you're not just a passenger in the moment. You're the one guiding the experience. So don't be afraid to tease, to hold eye contact, to let the conversation dip into flirtation and then pull it back. That ebb and flow is what builds desire. Because when you create tension without pressure, without expectation, you don't just turn him on, you pull him in. And in that space between the now and the next moment, that's where his desire lives. Not just for your body, but for your energy, your mystery, your playfulness, your power. Now, I want to speak to something that's rarely talked about in honest conversations around attraction, especially sexual attraction. And it's this. For a man to fully want you, not just physically, but with his presence, his passion, and his vulnerability, he has to feel safe expressing his masculine energy with you. And before we dive into what that actually means, let me clear something up. Being a safe space for his masculine doesn't mean you dim your light. It doesn't mean you become passive or submissive. It doesn't mean catering to outdated gender roles. What it means is allowing space for him to step into his masculine energy without shame, competition, or criticism. You see, real masculine energy isn't about being dominant, loud, or controlling. At its core, masculine energy is directional. It wants to pursue, protect, provide, create, structure, take action. It's the part of him that wants to lead, not to overpower you, but to hold you, to show up fully, to claim his role in a dynamic that feels alive. And that masculine energy, it thrives when it meets feminine receptivity, not passivity, receptivity. The energy that's open, fluid, intuitive, emotionally connected. When a woman leans into her softness, her vulnerability, her playfulness, it invites a man to rise, to step into his power, not because he has to, but because he wants to. But here's the catch. He can only truly go there if he feels safe doing so. If he's constantly feeling emasculated, second-guessed, micromanaged, or met with cold indifference, he won't lean in. He'll shrink back, shut down, or play it safe. And you might never get to experience the full depth of his attraction, his desire, or his emotional leadership. But when a man feels that your energy holds space for him to lead, to initiate, to express his passion without feeling judged, that's when things shift. That's when he wants to ravish you. Not because you gave him permission, but because your energy says, I trust myself and I trust you. That trust is powerful. That trust is sexy because it removes fear and replaces it with freedom. This doesn't mean letting him do whatever he wants. It means you show up in your power while allowing him to show up in his. It's two energies in dance, not in conflict. And when that polarity is honored, the attraction becomes explosive. So next time you're with a man, ask yourself, am I inviting his masculine or am I challenging it? Am I leaning into my feminine magnetism or am I gripping for control? When you create a space where his masculinity can breathe, where his desire to lead, to give, to ravish is met with warmth and appreciation, he will not only want you more, he will feel more himself in your presence. In that's irresistible. Let's talk about one of the sexiest traits a woman can ever embody. And I'm not talking about the way she moves, the sound of her voice, or the way she dresses. I'm talking about her standards. Because here's the truth. The moment you drop your standards to keep a man's interest is the same moment his attraction to you begins to fade. Why? Because true sexual desire doesn't just come from visual chemistry or physical intimacy. It's born from respect. When a man sees that you value yourself, that you have boundaries, and that you're not available for just any kind of treatment, you instantly become more valuable in his eyes. You're no longer just attractive, you're captivating. Staying rooted in your standards doesn't mean being rigid or closed off. It means you know who you are. It means you don't chase after someone who gives you breadcrumbs. It means you're not so desperate to be desired that you forget to desire yourself first. One of the biggest mistakes I see women make in the pursuit of attraction is this. They trade their truth for approval. They silence their instincts, ignore red flags, and tolerate behavior they'd never advise a friend to accept just to keep a man interested. But here's the problem with that. When you betray your standards to earn someone's desire, you lose the very magnetism that made you attractive in the first place. What draws a high-value man in isn't your willingness to bend. It's your ability to stand strong. When a man knows that you're kind, open, and feminine, but also unwilling to settle for a half-hearted version of love, that's when you become the woman he wants to impress. That's when he leans in, not just because he's attracted to you physically, but because he senses your depth. He sees your self-respect. And that, whether he admits it or not, turns him on more than anything else. Let me say it plainly. A woman who respects herself is sexier than any woman who tries to be whatever a man wants her to be. So what does it look like to stay rooted in your standards? It looks like walking away when the energy isn't being matched. It looks like saying no to late night texts that don't honor your time. It looks like keeping your heart open without abandoning your boundaries. It looks like knowing that intimacy is not a transaction. It's a sacred experience, and only the man who earns your trust gets access to it. When you hold your standards high, you're not pushing men away, you're filtering out the ones who don't deserve you. And the right men? The one who's emotionally available, deeply attracted to your essence, and looking for more than just a fleeting thrill. He will rise to meet you, because ultimately, your standards don't scare away real attraction. They create it. So here's what I want you to remember. There is no perfect line, no secret move, no magical outfit that guarantees a man will desire you deeply. Because real, lasting sexual desire doesn't come from strategy. It comes from energy. It comes from the woman who owns her desire without shame, who connects instead of performs, who is playful with tension, not manipulative, who creates safety for his masculine energy to show up, and who stays firmly rooted in her standards, no matter how tempting it might be to compromise. This woman isn't trying to be what a man wants. She's being who she is fully, without apology. And that kind of authenticity, that kind of feminine confidence, that's what men remember. That's what pulls them in, not just with their eyes or their bodies, but with their hearts. So if you've ever questioned whether you're doing it right, if you've ever felt like you have to become someone else to be desirable, if you've ever dimmed your light, softened your truth, or sold yourself short just to keep someone interested, this is your moment to stop. This is your moment to come back home to you. You don't need to earn anyone's desire. You just need to stop hiding your own power. Because when you live in your truth, when you lean into your sensuality, speak your standards, and radiate presence, the right man won't just want you. He'll respect you, and he'll feel lucky to have found a woman like you. Now, here's your call to action. Tonight, instead of asking what men want, ask what you want. Instead of looking in the mirror for flaws, look for the fire in your eyes. Instead of shrinking yourself to fit someone else's world, build your own and invite someone in who deserves to be there. You are not here to chase. You are not here to beg for crumbs. You are here to be chosen, but only by someone who sees your worth and meets you at your level. So own it, show up, and be bold enough to believe that the most powerful thing you can do to be wanted is to stop needing to be